Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am back with another true crime video, and today we are going to be doing the story of Thembekile, Letlape and Sibusiso Zitha. Now if you're new to this channel, I try and do these videos often, so please do check out the playlist. I've done a couple already and I will be doing more in the near future. Before we dive into today's video, I just have one disclaimer. This case is fairly new. It only happened at the end of May 2024 and therefore is still going through court processes, and it is for this reason that I have to stress that these are still just allegations because they are yet to be proven in court. So with that said, and without wasting any more time, let's dive into today's video. Today's video takes us to Johannesburg, South Africa. Thembekile Charlotte Letlape was born on the 1st of March 1986 to mother Mpho Letlape and father Dr. Kgosi Letlape. She's one of 3 children and comes from a very affluent family. Her father, Dr. Kgosi Letlape, is not only a medical doctor that specializes in ophthalmology, but he is also a former chairman of the South African Medical Association, as well as a past president of the World Medical Association, and as of the 14th of June 2024, he is a member of Parliament representing Action SA. Her mother is just as prominent and an exceller in her own right. Mrs. Mpho Letlape is a Deputy Vice Chancellor of Strategic Services at the University of Johannesburg. She's a former Managing Director of Sasol Inzalo Foundation and has been a director of many boards, including Transnet SOC, the Tower Group, Food Forward South Africa, and the Standard Bank Foundation, which she chaired, just to name but a few. So you can imagine the level of affluence. Now, although the family had achieved so much, the base and the most important thing remained family. Thembekile came from a loving and supportive family that strived for the best, not just for themselves, but for the family and the community at large. Thembi, as she was affectionately known by her loved ones, started school at Hamilton Memorial Creche in Westbury and thereafter moved to Parktown North Nursery School. In 1991, she started primary school at Kingsmead College in Rosebank and only stayed 1 year before she moved to St. Catherine's, where she completed her primary education. In 1999, she joined her older siblings at Kingsmead College once more, where she excelled in not just her academics but also did very well in gymnastics and hockey, to the extent of which she was chosen to represent the Gauteng province in provincial games for 3 consecutive years. In 2003, Thembi completed a matric and applied to study medicine at the University of Cape Town, and she was accepted. In 2004, she then moved from Johannesburg to Cape Town to study medicine, just like her father. However, 2 years into her medicine studies, she then realized that medicine was not so much for her and then decided to stop and move back home to Johannesburg. To show just how multidimensional she was, she opted to move from medicine and she ventured into the world of finance. She enrolled at UNISA and worked towards a Bachelor of Commerce degree in financial management, which she finished in 2011. And not too long after completing her degree, she started working as an investment banker in Sandton for one of the big banks. In an interview she did later on in life, she expressed that although she loved her job dearly and how happy she was that it exposed her to so much and how rewarding it was for her financially, it was equally as draining. They worked with banks in different time zones, and because of this, they could start work at 6 a.m. in the morning and she would be home at 10 p.m. And after a few years, she realized that the job was slowly wearing her down. Because of this, she started noticing subtle changes in her mood and felt burnt out and couldn't really cope, so she visited a therapist and was diagnosed with depression. She says that this was a huge wake-up call for her that she really needed. Her therapist, amongst many other things, suggested that she find something that she enjoys outside of work, and this is when she settled for baking, as it's something that she's always loved and it has always given her a sense of joy, and she used to do as a little girl with her grandfather growing up. And from that moment on, she turned to baking whenever she had a bad day or a long day at work. It didn't matter the time she came back from work. It could be 9 p.m. The first thing she would do when she got into the house was take out some flour and some eggs and start mixing the ingredients together and making a cake in the middle of the night, just to calm herself down. So slowly, friends and family started asking her to bake cakes for their birthdays, and anyone who would taste the cake at the birthday party would end up saying, "You need to do my cake as well." And slowly but surely, this started being something that she was doing on the side. Unfortunately, in 2014, she was hit by a hard blow when she got retrenched. She did a couple of interviews for a new position until a friend asked her if she really wanted to go back to corporate. I mean, at this point, the friends knew that said corporate was having a very negative impact on her well-being. So this is when Thembi took the decision to do what made her the happiest. She took her retrenchment package and enrolled full-time for a diploma at the Food Preparation School, specializing in pastry at the Food and Beverage Institute's Chef School of Pastry Academy in North Riding, Johannesburg. Once she completed her new qualification, she opened her own bespoke baking business called the Pastry Princess. Instead of churning out the same cake over and over again, she went with doing more personalized and unique cakes and started building a steady stream of clients from fans and family who passed down her recommendation to other friends and family. She started being recognized not just by family and friends and her community, but also celebrities, and she went on to do numerous interviews on TV as well as on magazines, sharing her journey as a pastry princess. And she also partnered with big business such as Visa on numerous campaigns. Thembi's business was slowly growing. She was not only working at her own company, but also used her financial background to help out the family by doing their financial books for their family business. Now, although financially Thembi was doing really well for herself, but at the age of 36, she was still staying at home with her family, her mom and her dad, at their 16-walled house in Johannesburg. She just did not see the need or find it necessary for her to move out. Her parents were happy to have her at home, and she was happy to live with the family. If anything, this was just testament of how close they were as a family and what a healthy environment they had created for themselves. In 2023, at the age of 37, Thembi met and started dating a man named Sibusiso Zitha. Sibusiso Zitha was born in the year 1984, which makes him 2 years older than Thembi. He was also born and raised in Johannesburg. He went to JP Boys School, where he was deputy head boy in 2002 when he matriculated. After completing his matric, he went on to study at the University of Witwatersrand towards a Bachelor of Commerce, specializing in economics and finance, where he completed in 2005. From this point on, he went on to work for multiple companies. From 2006 all the way to 2009, he was working for Investec, and thereafter he moved to Barclays, that stayed there from 2009 to 2011, and in 2008 he relocated to Cape Town, where he stayed until he came back to Johannesburg. During this time, Sibusiso was dating a lady named Nolwandle Denza. The relationship had been going on for over 10 years, on and off, and they had 2 children together, the oldest being a 10-year-old girl. In 2022, he moved back to Johannesburg from Cape Town, and during this time, he had started his own company. It's a property finance company that he named Ekhaya Property Finance. Now, because of his many years of experience in finance, the company picked up pretty quickly. Financially, he was doing very well for himself. He was staying in 4 ways in a beautiful home, and unfortunately, the same could not be said for his long-term relationship with Nolwandle, because in November of 2022, he was arrested because of what he had done to her. Sibusiso was arrested because he was laying hands on his girlfriend Nolwandle. Laying hands in this particular case is actually an understatement. He used a heavy granite stone as well as a laptop to assault her. Now, Nolwandle laid charges against him, and he was arrested on the 7th of November 2022. He had his first appearance in court, and because he was a first-time offender, he was granted bail of 2,000 rands and was meant to appear again on the 22nd of March 2023, just 4 months after the initial appearance. He then used this time to try and convince Nolwandle to drop the charges. He claims that they spoke and they agreed that she should drop the charges, and he was under the impression that she had went to the police station and dropped those charges. So when the time came in March of 2023 that he should appear in court, he did not pitch for his next appearance. And as a result of this, the judge issued a warrant of arrest for his violation of the bail conditions and 2 for not appearing in court. Now, though the warrant was given to the police, they had not managed to track him down. And just like that, life went on for him. Now, because of everything that had happened between him and Nolwandle, they had obviously broken up. And very shortly after, he met and started dating Thembekile Letlape. They met and almost immediately got along like a house on fire. They weren't strangers when they met. They both had grown up in Johannesburg, were just 2 years apart in age, and moved in similar circles. and had quite a few things in common. They had both studied finance, were both avid book lovers, and when they met, Thembekile was 37 years old and was happily still living with her parents in Saxonwold and running her own business. And Sibusiso, on the other hand, was 39 years old when they met, and he had his own house and was living in Fourways, and had already had 2 children, 10 and 6 years old at this point. At first, the couple got along very well. Things moved pretty quickly between the two of them. Very quickly, there were talks of Thembi moving out of her parents' home and in with him. Now, although the family was not 100% with this, but because they loved and supported her, they were very willing to support her wishes as well as her relationship. The relationship had progressed so quickly to a point where Sibusiso had brought his uncle to ask for a hand in marriage in the beginning of 2024, and the wedding was set to be in October of 2024. Now, in the interim, Thembi was still based in her family home in Saxonwold, but would visit Sibusiso in Fourways often. Now, on the week of the 30th of May 2024, she had been there for a couple of days already. Today's video is sponsored by CarTrack. CarTrack is a leading advanced vehicle tracking company that also offers enhanced security features with their different product offerings. With everything that they already offer, they have just added their latest product offering, which is their Road Vision dash cams. Dash cams are extremely useful for a wide variety of reasons. One, they can serve as evidence in the event of an accident. Because they capture live visuals, they are extremely invaluable when it comes to determining faults and settling disputes, and may also come in handy for insurance purposes. Speaking of insurance, a lot of insurance companies offer discounted premiums to drivers who have dash cams. Dash cams can also be a lot of fun because they can help you capture memorable moments with your loved ones on road trips, as they not only capture scenic views and beautiful landscapes along the way, but they also offer you audio on top of the live streaming. And my favorite of them all is a safety element when it comes to dash cams, because some dash cams come with features like collision detection and warnings, lane departure, as well as parking mode, all working together to enhance your driving safety. So visit CarTrack via get.cartrack.co.za/the-plug and get CarTrack, get the dash cam, as well as get a free installation. Now, before I move on with the story, I need to stress that from this point onwards, the version of the story is according to what Sibusiso had said in his affidavit as a form of confession. Now, it has not been accepted in court as truth as yet, and just because he wrote it under oath doesn't mean that he is truthful throughout the whole affidavit. If anything, it may be that he exaggerated some points or omitted a lot of things. But I'm just sharing it from the point of view of the affidavit that he wrote. So Thembi had been visiting Sibusiso for the week. Now, Sibusiso claims that Thembi was still suffering from depression and had mood swings, and these would worsen if they were drinking. He then claims that they would occasionally binge drink together and indulge in substances. And this is exactly what they were doing on this particular week. So an important point to note is that it wasn't just Sibusiso and Thembi at the house at this particular time. Sibusiso's 10-year-old daughter was also visiting. So it was Sibusiso, Thembi, and the daughter in the house. So in his confession, Sibusiso says that on the 9th of the 29th, leading up to the 30th of May 2024, Sibusiso alleges that Thembi had not slept for 36 hours leading up to the incident. So as Sibusiso was about to go into his confession, he prefaced by saying that when he is under a lot of stress, he generally reaches out to substances, like illegal substances such as coke, etc., right, to try and manage his stress. So on this particular week, he was under a lot of stress and had been obviously using these substances. And he said that on top of using substances, they were both heavily intoxicated. He then went on to claim that during such situations, any argument that they would have would be over the top, and unfortunately on this particular day it was no different. He says that he was sitting on his patio drinking wine and reading a book when Thembi started shouting at him. He says that Thembi started making derogatory remarks about his late parents and went on to call him a little bitch, and that's when Sibusiso started crying. I feel like I can't stress this enough. This is Sibusiso's version of the story. This is on his affidavit. This is his confession that he has submitted to the court in order to apply for bail. So this is what we have. Unfortunately, Thembi's not here to give us her version of the story. So this is what we are currently working with. So nonetheless, he says that he started crying and Thembi called him a little bitch. And he says that he begged Thembi to stop calling him names. And as the hours went on, they both got even more intoxicated and the environment worsened. He says at this point, he threw a glass of water on her face, hoping to calm the situation down, but Thembi persisted with tormenting him. It was at this point that he said that he picked up 2 knives and threatened her with them. On his confessions, Sibusiso then says that Thembi responded by saying, "You little bitch, you won't do that." This is when he claims that he got enraged, blacked out, and then started stabbing her. While all of this was happening, his young 10-year-old daughter was in the house. So after all of this, he then decided to go check on his daughter. When he got to her room, she asked, "Why are you covered in blood, Dad?" To which he responded that, "No, it's fine. We were just fighting, but everything is fine. But you need to go to your mother's house." So while the daughter was packing and preparing all her things, Sibusiso dragged Thembi's body to the garage and started mopping the floors so the daughter could not actually see the extent of blood there was and also not bump into Thembi's body. He then drove the daughter to her mother's house, his ex-girlfriend's house, Nolwandle Denza. When they got to the mother's house, he then went on to tell his ex everything that he had done. He also asked for changing clothes, which she provided because his clothes were still soaked in blood. They then decided to leave the child in the house and go back to Four Ways together. Now, in his confession, he would later state that it was easy for him to tell Nolwandle because, one, they had dated for such a long time. Regardless of the issues that they had, he felt like she understood him. When they got to the house, he showed Nolwandle Thembi's body, and he says that she then suggested that he needs to hand himself over to the police. And in that moment, he says he wasn't ready. The exes then decided to call Nolwandle's brother, Senzo Denza. When Senzo arrived, according to Sibusiso Zitha, he had come up with a different suggestion in terms of what to do to the body. His suggestion was alluding to stuff that he had seen in movies, to which Sibusiso had said he was not comfortable with. After much deliberation, the decision was then made to just lock the body up in the house, and then the siblings would then go drop off Sibusiso at his brother's house. So prior to Thembi passing away, she had sent her mother Mpho a WhatsApp message. Unfortunately, it's not very clear as to when in the evening this message was sent, but her parents were already sleeping. It is unclear if maybe she was still alive when she was dragged to the garage and that's when she sent the message, or she had sent the message after Sibusiso had left to go drop off her daughter. Again, perhaps she had not completely passed away at the time, or if this message was sent prior to anything happening while they were still having an altercation. However, an SMS was sent to Mpho, Thembi's mother, that was quite alarming. Unfortunately, it was so late in the evening that the parents were already sleeping, like I already said, and her mother Mpho only got around to seeing the message the next day in the morning. And immediately after reading the message, she told Thembi's father what was going on, and him, together with the police and a locksmith, went to Sibusiso's house in Four Ways, where they unfortunately found Thembi's body after breaking into the house. The family was extremely broken, and at this point, Sibusiso was nowhere to be seen. The police, the friends and family started looking for him. Friends of the family started posting on social media, posts such as this one, Chili saying, "Anybody with information about this man's whereabouts, please let me know." And he tagged Sibusiso Zitha, and then he attached 2 of his pictures on X, Twitter. Everyone was looking for him at this point, and 2 days later, I think because of all the pressure, Sibusiso handed himself over at the police station. I'm going to put a clip of a video that was taken shortly after he had handed himself over.
How can you be so evil? What?
It was a mistake.
A mistake? You know you can't take it back.
I know.
And what?
And I'm certainly regretful for it, and that's why I am confessing to everything, because I am guilty and I cannot take it back. I know that.
You're right now.
And I'm sorry.
What the fuck?
A few days later, Thembi was laid to rest via a beautiful send-off attended by friends and family, amongst which was the ex-Deputy President Phumzile Lambo Mngcuka, as well as the First Lady of South Africa, Mama Tshepo Motsepe. Mpho's mother and father gave a very sad and heartbreaking eulogy at the funeral.
My baby shoes. GBV has a name. It has a face. That of my baby shoes. A beautiful, street smart, streetwise, highly conscious, educated, gifted, generous, respectful, loving, everything good, and yes, some not so good, but never intended to harm anyone. She was generosity personified. In fact, on the day that she passed, my verse for the day or my prayer for the day was generosity in my daily prayer book. She loved someone that did not deserve him. Someone that took advantage of her vulnerabilities and her personality. Someone who saw a gold mine to exploit. Promised her. He had proposed to Thembi. He had come to us. He had brought his uncle to us, saying, as soon as you finish with the Boho, we next. We were planning a wedding for October. For them. He took everything from her. And that is why Brian was threatening him. And then he took her. Unfortunately, he is the biggest loser, isn't he? He would have ended up with a wife that would have made him the envy of every man in the world. My daughter, if you have heard today, was the best there was. She was not perfect, not by a long shot. I mean, now they are two. They would spend a weekend at home binge drinking, all three of them. But they would do it alone. And they would do it in my study right next to my bedroom. That's Thembi's honesty. Is my mom not hiding anything from him. We fought, especially about that, a lot. But we loved even more. Her message to me on Mother's Day ended by, "Mums, I hope to make you very proud." I want to say, baby shoes, you have made me proud. Over the week, the testaments, your friends, your family, everybody that came to see us, have borne and showed us what an amazing human being you were. Somebody no mother wouldn't be proud of. You know, when I read the press reports that said celebrity chef killed by her boyfriend, I was like, who's the celebrity chef? And then I thought about it. Thembi's been on top billing. Thembi's been on Umoja Life. When Visa Card started their campaign on Where You Shop Matters, Thembi was their first project or campaign piece. She's been on every television station that we have when she was alive, showing off who she was, what she was doing. And I realized, yes, my baby is a celeb. She even wrote a book. Thembi is a published author, for those that don't know. To us, she was baby shoes, she was Thames. She was Auntie T when Lele was born, and then TT when Kolo was born. She was my fashion advisor. When I was thinking about what to wear today, my friend had organized something. But my other friends will understand when I say, she would say to me, Mama, crackers and John. So tell me, I'm cracking your favorite St. John today. That's her favorite St. John of mine. She was my advisor, my confidant, and my planner. Today you are going to experience the worst planned event at the Letlape home. For starters, there are no tables. We forgot to order tables, so you're going to eat off your legs. Because my planning partner was not there to say, Mums, this, Mums, this, Mums, oh, what about that? I'm jealous of the angels that are going to receive you, especially Opa and Kuku when you go there. Auntie Kay, your prayer warrior, Billy, your brother-in-law who we buried 10 weeks ago. 3 months ago, yeah, we buried him on the 11th. I want to tell you, as we were planning Father's Day, you and I, that on Father's Day we're going to have a less 3-month service and then go to our favorite Craig Hall Bowling Club to play soccer like we used to with Bele. We'll still do that. But you'll be playing soccer with Bele in heaven and we'll be playing it on the ground. Yeah. Lastly, for the record, Thembe's favorite color is not pink. It's purple. Just go to her room, the wall is painted purple. So we'll mix it with pink just to appease Lelu. Pink was just easier. My source of useless information, Thembe Popo talked about the pocket encyclopedia, but Fenje bought her that encyclopedia when she was 8, and it said pocket encyclopedia. To Thembe meant it's an encyclopedia that you keep in your pocket and you read all the time. Thank you.
Now, obviously, after the funeral, the main thing was trying to get Thembekile some sort of justice. The police decided to charge Nolwandle Denza as well as her brother Senzo Denze for aiding Sibusiso and trying to defeat the ends of justice. But after a few days, those charges were dropped because they had agreed to go on the police's witness list and actually help the police with trying to find justice. On the other hand, Sibusiso also decided to confess to everything. So normally in a case where there's a confession, the court has a discretion to actually, one, agree that, okay, we accept your confession, there's not going to be a trial, we'll go directly to sentencing. But there's also an option where they say, actually, we don't accept your confession because we don't think it's true and we think that there are loopholes in it. And the reason for not accepting a confession is that with a confession, you get a lesser sentence. So without a confession, there are chances that you can get a higher sentence. So they can say, actually, it's okay, we don't accept your confession, we have enough evidence, we are going to prove it during a trial. So that's what's currently happening. But before they can even get to the point of whether they accept the confession or not, or whether or not they will be going into trial, they are still going through a bail hearing. Sibusiso is trying to get out. He is claiming in his bail application that he would like to go and sort out his company and close it down and sort everything out in terms of the finances of the company. So far, he is being denied this bail. So we are still at the very beginning stages of this trial. Obviously, this case only happened this year. It happened in May. So it's still early days, but hopefully, as all cases, we hope that Thembekile is able to find justice. And with that said, thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.